Aabria Iyengar.
Aabria motherfucking Iyengar.
Aabria Iyengar. The way, the truth, the light. I'm going to be very clear about something. I barely want to walk to the end of my driveway to get my mail without Aabria Iyengar by my side. I don't want to do shit without Aabria Iyengar, let alone I can't for any good DMing that I've ever done. I just like I just ask people to go back, look at Calamity, and you tell me what that story is without Laren Cora Marceli.
Hey, it's Cheyenne again, and I'm here with another video going back to one of my favorite things, tabletop role-playing games. Now, I'm a game master. I have run several games for several different types of players, and I've also been keeping up with the new Critical Role Campaign 4. And I have a lot of thoughts around some discourse that I've seen in the critter community lately. And if you've been in a lot of the same parts, and if you've been catching up with Campaign 4 just like I have, you've probably seen some heated conversations about Aabria's playstyle in Campaign 4. I have seen some of her stuff before this, mostly with her as a player. I haven't caught up a lot of her game mastering, and I know that this isn't exactly new discourse. Some folks love her energy, some find it overwhelming, some don't like her game mastering styles and the way that she plays around with the rules. Instead of asking if she's too much, I'm asking why her game master, Brendan Lee Mulligan, on record, has said that he absolutely loves playing with her. If so many of the critters seem to have a problem with Aabria, why is that the case? Well, I've noticed that there's several things that Aabria brings to the table that I think are things that a game master dreams of in a player. Expressiveness, generosity, deep engagement, and a fearless love of story. So today, I'm going to suggest that there's actually things that we can learn from her in order to be better players for our game masters. So these are things that Aabria does that your GM will absolutely love and that you can bring to your own table. I really feel strongly about this first point, that being engaged with the story and expressive and being super into what is happening with other players and the story, especially when you're not the one who is super involved, is actually a good thing. Aabria wears every emotion on her face: joy, shock, heartbreak, mischievous glee. The way that she reacts to things that are going on and to other characters, that's important, especially in a visual medium like Critical Role. In Calamity, one of my all-time favorite actual plays, during any scene with Travis Willingham, they both have such strong reactions to everything that's happening. And I think having that energy is important. It's electric. The expressiveness keeps the table alive. It tells the GM, it tells all the other players, I'm right here with you. I'm seeing what you're seeing. That was crazy. That was wild. That was cool. That was heartbreaking. And nothing feels better running a game. Nothing feels better than a player who reacts to your world as though it's real. As though you can tell that they're actually immersed and engaged and having real emotions with the story that you're trying to tell. So rather than talking about cutting down on the energy, I think we should all be more generous with our reactions. Don't be afraid to show what your character feels, even in silence. You're not just the game, you're building emotional momentum that the GM and the rest of the players can build off of. I've been there at tables where there's been such a lack of reaction when something happens with your character and everyone else at the table just kind of gives you nothing. And that's just not fun for anyone. It feels bad, man. Next, this is something that I wish that I was better at as a player too. When Aabria describes her character's actions, she doesn't just say I attack or I cast a spell. She paints a picture You can really tell that she's pulling from her game master roots. She says it like she's narrating a scene. The tone, the smell of the air, the trembling in her voice. This isn't something that only has to be regulated to the game master who's running the session. And I don't think that level of sensory description is about showing off. I think it's more about collaboration. Maybe it's co-GMing the moment and you feel a certain way about that, but giving the table something vivid to respond to, I think it adds to the experience for everyone else. I tend to play a lot of Powered by the Apocalypse games that are meant to be really thought of in cinematic terms. So I really appreciate if you give your GM and the rest of the players something to see. The richer your details, the easier it is for them to make your imagination tangible. This is kind of similar to the first point, I have to admit, but I want to underscore this again because having engagement beyond just your own turn is one of the most underrated things that Aabria brings to the table. And it's just how present she is, even when it's not her turn. When she's watching and reacting to every interaction, she's laughing, nodding along. She's really present in the story, even when she's not speaking. This is a dream for GMs. How many times have you heard people complaining that it seems like the players are just waiting for their own moment and not caring about what anyone else is doing or their story? Aabria is lifting everyone else's moments up. She's hyping up the characters. She's hyping up the players. It's a good example for something that we should all be doing. Engagement breeds engagement. I love feeling like everyone at the table is engaged and they're all invested in their stories and also everyone else's stories. No one wants to feel like when they had their special cool moment that you're the only one who cares. If you keep this investment, the story really becomes something special and memorable for your whole entire table for years to come. Aabria doesn't just play scenes, she reacts to them. If another player shares something painful, she meets that energy. When chaos erupts, she leans into it. It's not about being the loudest in the room, it's about reflecting emotion back into the space. Liam O'Brien does this all the time, but his kind of acting is quiet, grounded, attentive. Aabria does this too, just on the other side of the spectrum. Role-playing is not supposed to be a solo performance where everyone takes their turn. It should really be a dance, a conversation, a natural flow of action and reaction, of presence and authenticity, and it really elevates the story for everyone else if you can have that balance. Another thing that I know Aabria does that sometimes spark debate, but which I refuse to believe is a problem because I love whenever my players do this for me, is chasing the story. What do I mean by chasing the story? She goes after narrative hooks. She takes them, the emotional, the personal, the world-driven, and she runs with them. If your GM sets it up and gives you a giant red button to press, she is always going to press that giant red button. It's not about railroading especially, but it's about understanding that your GM has woven this beautiful world and this beautiful story for you, and don't you want to be a part of that? In Calamity, her character doesn't wait for the world to crumble. She pushes, she acts, she obsesses, she drives the story along to the final trajectory. And because she takes that initiative and that action, it really feels like she has autonomy over the story. In Campaign 4, I really feel like she's bringing that same momentum. The GM drops a thread, she's gonna pick it up, weaving her curiosity right into the narrative fabric. As GMs, this is gold. This is what we want. It means we don't have to chase your players. They chase you. We don't have to railroad players if they're enthusiastically jumping onto every story beat. And if everyone's doing this as a player, there's never going to be anyone who is taking over. It becomes a collaboration, not a tug of war. You can have discussions, you can ask questions, you can get consent, but don't be afraid to move. Chasing the story, doesn't mean hogging the spotlight. It means refusing to let the spotlight go dim. If you're worried about chasing the story without taking over, keep the following things in mind. Follow your curiosity, not your ego. Invite others in. Want to come with me on this? Ask your GM, is this something my character would know, to show that you're collaborating? When in doubt, share focus. Story momentum and story chasing doesn't have to mean main character energy. And doing this, coupled with the next trait that I absolutely love, is golden. Because Aabria is a generous player. She gives other characters space to react and laugh and lead and chase the story in their own moments. In Campaign 4, she celebrates her castmates' moments like a fan watching at home. She'll throw out a perfectly timed quip, then fade back to let someone else have their spotlight. Having the ability to chase the story and also share the spotlight and be generous like that is rare. And it makes everything so much smoother for the GM. It flows naturally when players trust that they'll get their moments in return. And at the end of the day, it's the golden rule of everything. Do unto others what you want them to do unto you. Give what you want to receive. Now, we've kind of already touched on how some of what Aabria is criticized for, other members in the cast do the same thing. And I'm not trying to say that everyone who doesn't jive with Aabria has some sort of bias or another reason for not liking her. I'm not saying that there's no valid criticism at all in her GMing or her playstyle. But the truth is, a lot of the traits people critique in Aabria, being outspoken, emotive, commanding, are traits celebrated in others. Like I said, Travis gets praise for being expressive. Liam gets love for being intense. Laura gets applause for driving conflict. But I think it has to be said, when women, especially women of color, bring that same energy, the tone of the conversation changes. Words like too much, aggressive, loud starts showing up. And that's not a critique of individuals. It's a cultural reflex, and one we all need to check from time to time. I do know that Marisha went through a lot of this too. I think she was labeled impulsive and brash in early campaigns. And I really think about why that is, because there's things that you don't have to like about each of these women, but it feels like she's more beloved for that passion now, because we learn to see it for what it is, its engagement. I think Aabria is the same. She's engaged, she's invested, she really cares about the story and her other players and all the characters. And that's the kind of player who makes a GM's work feel worth it. So ultimately, what we can learn from Aabria is be expressive, be descriptive, stay engaged, react with the heart, chase the story, be generous, and give grace to your table, your GM, and also yourself. There are things that turn a game into an incredible shared story. For every character who's ever worried about being too much is just another way to say deeply in love with the game. Aabria especially, and much of the cast in Campaign 4, shows us what passion looks like when you're playing these games. And I think it's important to end on what Matt Mercer would remind us every week. Don't forget to love each other. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing for more storytelling breakdowns from the world of tabletop roleplay. I also do a lot of other things, basically just whatever catches my interest. Usually nerdy, spooky, witchy, a lot of tabletop stuff. In the comments, tell me your favorite Aabria moment. Or maybe a time when, chasing the story made your session unforgettable. Or when you had a player who really brought one of these traits to life and made your GMing experience incredible. Anyway, stay weird, take care, and have a great day.